let's start, I think, with the beautiful papers. Now I'm going to use this sheet, and what I've already done here is I've started preparing this, but I've already cut that. Now I've taken a teal, and in fact there isn't actually a teal in the papers, but it works. There's so many colours. I could have used mats and layers for the green, the pink, the coral, the oranges, the yellows, even any colour I wanted to. Even a browny sort of fawn colour there would have worked, but I chose to go with something completely different. And like I say, it's that teal colour and aqua, and it's so beautiful. Now this is, because people always ask me, so I'm just going to turn around and show you the cardstock that I've used, because we have this on CraftStash as well. So it's from Tonic, it's Craft Perfect cardstock, and it's the ocean blue. It is probably one of my most favourite colours ever, or at the moment in cardstock. There is a slightly darker teal as well, which I adore, also from the same brand. But you can see you can get all your cardstock, you can get all your card bases, all your adhesives, everything at CraftStash. So while you're putting in your orders for your new products, your new launches, whatever it may be, treating yourself to paper discovery, go and check out the essentials as well, because there's often deals on them as well. Now, I could have used square nesting dies as well, but I didn't. I actually hand cut with my trimmer the edges here. But the first thing I did is I cut my circle into this panel, because I wanted to make sure my circle was central. So I used a nesting die for that. I cut this down to size, the square shape, and that was kind of guided by the width of the paper. I then brought the height down to match it to make a square, because I knew I was going onto a square base. I then cut my solid piece of cardstock so that it was just slightly bigger. So I cut around the edge of the teal, and then I used a smaller nesting die, laid this over and positioned that on the teal, so I knew I got it exactly in the centre. So that's going to be going in there like that. Now what I've also done is I've started stamping some florals. Now these florals are from one of the sets that I just showed you. So it's not the Feathered Friends, it's I believe it's Foliage. I'm just going to check the name. It is the Foliage stamp and die set. So I've stamped, as you can see, these 3 times. I think actually I do need to do one more. So I'm just going to grab a piece of paper, because I want to just show you how I've coloured these in, rather than just say these are ones I've already done. So just using my stamp platform. This is actually a new one. I've got a couple, and this is one I very, very rarely use, so it's still classed as new, and it's clean as well. Let's see, Foliage. So here we go. So this has the florals. It also has lovely greenery as well. So if you want to build up a card just with the greenery, you can do that. Now this stamp has been used lots already, so it's going to leave a little bit of a mark there. But I'm going to use my Memento ink. There's Tuxedo Black. You could stamp with perhaps like a grey or a pale brown or something like that, just to make the outline a little less obvious. And then that's particularly if you're going to be colouring in. So you kind of get the no line look with your colouring. That's a really fun effect. Something fun to do. Usually, Judith Barclay, she says, usually she has no problems using paper, but these look good enough to frame. They do, don't they? They're absolutely stunning. So look at that. Beautiful image. Everything has got so much detail in it, every stamped image. And you should see the birds as well. The birds in flight are gorgeous. So let's just pop that there. And I have coloured these in using, I've got a mix of alcohol pens. Now I believe that you do not have to restrict yourself to one brand of alcohol colouring pen. The same with your watercolours, whether it be paints or inks or pens, whatever you're using. I think you can mix and match as long as you're sticking to alcohol based or water based. So sometimes you'll see me use Copic, sometimes you'll see me use Chameleon, and sometimes it will be like the Spectrum Noir pens. I really do go by which has the right colour and the right nib that I want for the project. So for this one, I'm going to I'll just do one flower just to show you how easy it is to make them look blended and coloured in. So I'm taking Spectrum Noir. Now these have digits on them to tell you which colour they are. I mean, they've got names as well, so I've got silk and coral, but this one is CR1 and CR5. Now I've also got here CR3. Okay, so these would go in a line. As you can see, they get lighter, but that kind of means that I'm going to get that blend. If I want to do this absolutely perfectly, particularly if it was a larger spaced image, and I was colouring in a larger area, I would definitely go in, well, I'd even maybe go in with my CR2 and CR4 in the middle of these and blend each colour into the other. But because it's such a small area, I'm going to take out my CR3 and just use CR1 and CR5. Okay, so the light and the dark. I'm going to start by putting down the, oh, wrong one. I'm going to start by putting down the dark, and I'm going to use the small nib on the end there, and I'm just going to do little flicks from the centre of the flower there. Just little flicks, that's all I'm doing. Nothing too artistic. There we go. And now I'm going to take my light one. Now I can go in with my small nib, or I can go in with my larger one for this. I'm just going to basically colour over the entire petal with this. So the light area that needs colouring in, and then just work in little circles. I'm just going to work over the edge of the darker ink there, and that will just blend it down, because the alcohol in the fresh ink you're putting down will react with the alcohol that was in the previous ink, and it will just break that down and blend it out nicely. So really, really quick and easy to get some lovely blended florals. I would definitely use, depending on which brand you're using, but use the colour system, the numbers, whatever way they've got of letting you know which colours go with which are darker tones of others. So hopefully you can see there we've got darker through to lighter. And as I said, here's two that I've already coloured and cut, and then I've got one more that I need to die cut out, so I just need to do that. I haven't gone into too much detail when it comes to doing the centres. The leaves are just one colour as well, just one of green. Let me see, just catching up on the comments while I'm getting this out. Oh, you use glitter gel pens for colouring in things. That's lovely. And you don't have any alcohol pens. You don't have to get them. I mean, I think we sometimes feel like we need everything on the craft market and everything that other people are using. But really, if you want to experiment and have a try with them, definitely do. But if you have another colouring medium that you're happy to use and you enjoy using and are comfortable with, then, stick with that. I don't see any problem as long as you're creating the projects that you want to create. That's the main thing. So I'm just sticking my tape, and this is the low tack tape from CraftStash. I'm just sticking that mostly over the outside edge rather than in the middle. And then I'm going to bring in my machine. So, oh, here we go. Now this is a big shot. So it's the Big Shot Plus. Don't really need a die cutting machine as big as this for this project, but it's on my desk, and I've actually got this ready for when we do that glass house die. I'm really looking forward to cutting that and showing you how stunning that is. There we go. See, that cuts that out absolutely perfectly. So if some of you haven't seen before the way that you can line up your dies and your stamps, and particularly talking about these sorts of stamps and dies that work together. So we've got our foliage, and we've also got our feathered friends as well that come with the outline dies. So just to show you how you can set up your self masks, you may have seen this already, but little tip in case you haven't, just die cut each of your outline shapes into a scrap of paper. I just put that die away, didn't I? I'm going to need that to come back out again. Here we go. And then you can save that. That was just, that was an embossing powder bottle, or big tub actually, just went flying. So once you've got your stamped image and you're ready to cut it out, all you need to do is line this up. Should have done it in a different paper. Just line that up over the top of the stamped image until it's exactly where you want it. Okay, and then you can pop your die, slot your die back in to that top layer, and you can pop these two down. Now, dies will generally cut through 2 layers of cardstock or paper very easily. That way you know you're going to get your cutting edge exactly where you want it, a nice even white line or whatever colour line all the way around the edge, because sometimes there's nothing worse, is there, than stamping perfectly, colouring perfectly, being really happy with something, die cutting, and then it goes slightly off to the edge when you die cut. This way you're going to make sure you know where the edges are going to be. So there's a little tip for you. Just add that into today's show. Don't forget we've got 40% off of older Paper Discovery products, everybody. So lots and lots of bargains to be had there. Go and grab yourself a bargain, actually, because it's Friday. That's the only reason, just because it's a Friday. So we are now going to need a sentiment for this before I start constructing anything. So let's take, what shall we do? Do you know what? I think if friends were flowers, I would pick you. I really like this sentiment. I've already placed my stamp around inside of my mats and layers there, but I'm also just using this to make sure it's straight because we've got guidelines on the stamping platform. Now this is a stamp that I've not stamped yet already. I don't think I have anyway. So I'm going to take my pencil eraser and I'm just going to erase over. I'm just going to rub the flat side over the stamp. I always do this. You've probably seen me do this lots of times before. It just takes any of that manufacturing process off there for you. Hello, right, I just saw my name. I'm trying to keep up with the all the comments. Oh, Lou, your tip about using the die template has been a lifesaver for me. Wonderful idea, and I keep them with my dies. Brilliant. Beth Rogers, thank you so much. I'm really glad that that's been helpful for you. So, and also, like I say, erasing the that coating that's on your stamps, erasing that off with just a household rubber, a pencil eraser. That's all you need. With this stamp platform, what I love is that I don't have to get really pressing it down. I can just do little taps, and that will make sure everywhere's covered. Look at that. Gorgeous. Now I'm using CraftStash foam tape. This is a really thick foam tape and wide as well, so deep. I suppose the depth rather than thickness, I should say. Really nice deep foam tape. I use them along two edges fully, and then just little bits along the edges of this circle here where it's thinner. This is going to give this card lots of depth. Look at that, just double checking, because there we go. I'm going to have to turn that now because I have accidentally spun round my mat. So it's worth checking before you stick, and then going back down with some double-sided tape again. Now I'm going to lastly finish off this card because there's so much more I want to show you by popping these flowers over the top here, just creating this kind of semicircle of florals. This is lovely as well. Look at this. If you want a really soft watercolour look, use a thin cardstock for your stamping. When you colour with your alcohol pens, it wouldn't work necessarily with your water-based pens. With your alcohol pens, the colour comes through, and look, you get a really soft watercolour effect, and it may be a look that you love. So it's another one to try while I just saw that. And let's pop this one in there. That can go there, and then this one in the middle here. And they've kind of got a bit of a curve to them as well. I want to avoid just there the word if. I don't want to cover that up. These are the pink frog glue applicators. I think they were out of stock, but keep an eye because I'm sure they'll soon be back in. So there's the first card. Now that is not necessarily tropical as such, so you could send this for lots of different occasions. It could be something for summer, for example. Maybe it could be for a wedding if someone's really going bright with their colours, you know. But definitely take the inspiration, and that floral stamp alone is, you're just going to keep using that time and time again.